Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Good morning. I'm Gary York, and this is People Doing Good for Others. I want to thank our sponsors, Wilkes Communications, RiverStreet Productions, and 100.9 WIFM. People Doing Good for Others celebrates and honors and holds in the light those who truly make significant contributions in our communities. And again, I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Our featured guest today is Ms. Brenda Blake. She says she's a true farmer, and we're going to learn about the operation. It's a family business down in the southeast corner of Wilkes County. She grew up and went to East Wilkes High School. Her husband's Chad, and they have 4 wonderful sons that are involved in the operation. So thank you again for being with us today, and this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful moment in life. Thank you. So good morning to you, Ms. Blake.
Good morning.
And we met at a cooperative extension luncheon supper over at the Wilkes County Agriculture Center. So you were talking about how the cooperative extension helps you.
Yes.
And so tell the story that you told that night to the county commissioners and to others that were gathered there.
Well, we used to be tobacco farmers, and that's kind of the way I started out with, telling the commissioners about how the cooperative had helped. We had greenhouses that we grew our transplants into that we'd take to the field. And we quit farming tobacco. As you know, it kind of went out and was not doing very well. So when we quit farming tobacco, we had empty greenhouses with nothing to do. So I had called Extension and said, could you help me? What could we put in these? And we had looked at perishable crops like strawberries, tomatoes, lots of different crops that we could grow in those greenhouses, but everything was perishable. It would have to be sent to market quickly that we had talked about. And I did not have time to transport to market and to try to sell that, traveling and trying to sell it. We just didn't have time because we're a working farm and a true family farm. So Extension came out to our farm and looked at what we had, and one of the girls that came that day, she said, well, I take my flowers, we plant hanging baskets in my greenhouse. We've got one about the same length as yours. And I said, well, how many do you plant? And she said, me and the kids do about 150 baskets. And I said, well, that's probably doable, and where do you sell them? And she said, well, we just go to the parking lot in town and set up Mother's Day weekend and we sell flowers. So I had 2 younger boys. And I thought, okay, that's something that we could probably do, so we'll try it. So I talked to my husband, Chad, and the older boys were Heath and Tyler, and they said, well, sure, we'll help you try to get, if you want to try it, we'll try it and see, because they're standing here empty.
Hanging baskets. Give us some idea of what's in
there. They're like
there.
a 10-inch, just a 10-inch flowered hanging basket. Okay. In that you put petunias in, or calabricoas, or verbenias, any kind. We just do lots of different kinds. We experimented. That first year, we had no idea where to get plants from, seeds from, or anything. So when I told them what I wanted to do, and I said kind of what she had told me, they said, okay, well, we'll help you build something to hang them on, because we don't want you hanging them on the greenhouse structure itself. So I talked to the extension again, and I said, they're going to build something in there. They said, well, we'll come out and look at it and see when you get it done, see what we think. So instead of 150 baskets, when I tell the kids, my boys, I want something done, and my husband, they go gung-ho, of course, and they used old chicken house feed line equipment. They built a structure inside the greenhouse that would hold about 1,500 hanging baskets. And I told them, I said, how am I going to sell 1,500 hanging baskets? The first year, nobody knows about us. And we're out in the middle of no man's land. Right. And when I say I'm from Summers, a lot of people say it's Summers, where is that? But anyway, Extension helped us. They weren't real sure how the plants on the bottom would do, but they came out weekly, helped us with the fertilization. They stayed with us through all of it, yes. They were a great help to know what to do. So even where to get plugs, they kind of helped us with where to buy some of the plugs, where to buy baskets.
Now plug is the what's?
Instead of starting the plant from seed, we start it from a plug. And that way, instead of starting in December when it's really cold, we can wait and start about the middle of February. So we save 2 months of paying a heat bill in a greenhouse. There's not a lot of insulation,
goodness,
so that
Brenda.
helped a lot.
How
You know,
about
people
that?
don't think about that. You know, it's cold and you've got plants in there, you've got to keep them warm. Anyway, Extension helped through the whole process, and we went on Facebook, social media, and just started kind of advertising our plants, sold them all right from our home. So that was great.
1,500 the first year.
Both my daughter-in-laws, Kelly and Emily Blake, helped. The grandkids helped. And we just sold everything right from the farm. So that kind of got our brains to thinking. That was one greenhouse. We had 2 more to go.
Now, when was that?
That was 5 years. This is our 5th year of doing it. So that would have been 2016.
Everything's changed a lot?
Everything's changed tremendously since then. My youngest son, Luke, he goes to the Wilkes Community College in the horticulture program now, and he really wants to expand that part of our farm. So you have to diversify on a farm to keep it going. You can't just stick to one thing anymore because it just doesn't work. You know, with markets the way it is, if you just believe in one commodity and that's all you're going to raise, you may not make it.
Right.
It's tough anymore to be on a farm. So you have to diversify, and you have to get out to where that's the only product that we sell on our farm that we're in control of the price. Everything else is based on market prices. You know, we grow for Tyson, so what we grow for them is based on what they pay us. Our corn and our soybeans that we sell, that's based on farm market price. So our flowers, we set our price, so that's a good thing.
So where are we today about the change? You said it's nothing like what it was. Give us a little idea about what's going to happen this year.
This year we've got 3 greenhouses. If the weather cooperates and it dries out enough, we'll have a 4th, possibly a 5th.
So you're going to build some more?
We're going to build some more.
Oh,
yeah.
great.
And then we're growing mums in the fall of the year. And this year we're going to have a spring farm fling on our farm, and we're inviting vendors to come in with outside homemade handcrafted items to come out to our farm and set up. And they will have their items for sale. We'll have an opening with our flowers for sale, and it gives other small businesses an opportunity to sell their products too. So we're just happy to get people on a farm. They smell farm smells, but they know that, you know, that's just a part of life.
That's good.
I'll tell you a funny little story. The first year that we done it, I grew some tomato plants as well. You know, I'll have a little garden, try to, and I had always supplied our neighbors with some tomato plants just on the side from our tobacco plants. We had just a small little greenhouse on a trailer my husband built, on a trailer, and I would pull it in and out of the basement. And the same way we floated tobacco plants in the greenhouse on a float bed system, we would float trays in that little trailer with vegetable plants, tomato plants, peppers, and that kind of thing. And I would give them to everybody in our community. So I couldn't quit doing that, you know, but the little trailer was kind of getting worn out. So we planted some in our greenhouse. And I had the grandkids, they were supposed to be helping us, you know, and they were 4, 3, 2. We keep them with us. If we're on the farm working, they're on the farm working.
Right.
So we wouldn't pay a lot of close attention to them. We had tagged all those tomato plants with what they were. Got to looking around, and they had went down through there and pulled all those tags out. So that year it was just a variety of tomato plants, and I'd give some to my neighbors, and I'd say, I don't know what you'll have, but we hope you enjoy them. So that was just a kind of a funny little thing. But the kids, their kids are right there with us. So when I say it's a true family farm, that's exactly what we are.
Brenda Blake, you grew up farming.
I did.
Tell us about that.
I didn't like it at all.
You didn't like it at all?
No. My parents grew tobacco, and we raised cane, the kind that you eat. And I raised a little cane, the kind that you sorghum. But that's what we grew up.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We
making molasses.
Making molasses. And my mom would still be making molasses today if we'd allow her to do that. But none of us enjoyed it at all. But I would go get a book and hide in the closet and hope she wouldn't find me. Thought I would never have married a farmer, never thought I would ever be farming, but I guess
so when you're in high school, you're thinking, I'm never going to do any more of that.
No, that was not what I wanted to do in life whatsoever. So things change, you know, never say never.
Yeah, and so tell us what you did after you got out of high school.
I went to work for Duke Energy, or Duke Power at that time, but Duke Energy now, and worked there 5 years, worked in Winston, then transferred back to Elkin, and was getting along really good and enjoying it. And then Chad and I were married a couple of years after I went to work for Duke.
Okay.
In 1988 we were married, and we had our first son, Heath, that was born in 1990. And when we had talked about having children, we'd always said I'd like to be able to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. So that's what, when I had him, then I quit work at Duke and came home on the farm. And at that point in time, we had 4 chicken houses and about 12 acres of tobacco. And I thought, okay, I'll get to stay at home, but Heath got to stay with me out wherever I was at, plowing tobacco or riding the bobcat or whatever I was doing, he was with me. So
you run all the machinery on the farm?
Not everything. I let the combine, that's for the boys, to run. I might get in there and ride with them, but they operate that. Some of the stuff, now that they've gotten older, I've not had to learn how to operate as much stuff as I had to in the beginning. So I kind of leave that up to them to do some of the stuff now, and I back away and I plant flowers.
Now Chad's family moved. Tell us, where is the farm?
It's in the southeast part of,
paint a picture.
Yeah, it's the southeast part of Wilkes County. We kind of join with Iredell, Yadkin, and Wilkes. It's in that corner.
Okay.
And we farm in all 3 counties, actually.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. So we've got land and farm corn, soybeans. We've got 8 poultry houses that's in Yadkin County, about a mile from the main farm. And we've got houses on our main farm. It's 20. We've got 22 in all. So
22.
That with chickens in them. We actually have 24, but 2 of them are older and we use for storage. Wow.
So, and his family moved up from Greensboro.
They did.
To farm?
To farm. Gary and Laureen.
Were they farming in Greensboro?
No, they were not. He grew up farming, Gary did, but he owned service stations, a couple in Winston. And he bought this land. His wife, Laureen, was originally from Windy Gap.
Okay.
So they kind of moved back to the area where she was from, and he wanted to farm. And he
go back to farming.
Go back to farming. He grew up farming with his dad somewhat, but not a lot of farming, But he kind of grew up farming, so he wanted to go back to the farm, go back to farming. So when they bought the farm, it was 238 acres, and they built 2 chicken houses. Holly Farms at that time let them build 2 pullet houses. And
now what's pullet mean?
Pullet means you get them at a day old, you keep them about 21 or 22 weeks, and then they go to a layer house farm where they lay eggs that are hatched out to use in broiler production for meat.
Okay.
So it's kind of the cycle. Pullets is the first thing, and then the hens come, and then the broilers came later.
So give us an idea, Brenda Blake, about the growth, the transition, and what we did the first year there, and how things kind of progressed, if you will.
When they bought the farm in 78 and 79, they built two of the pullet houses, and they were 400-foot long, 40-foot wide houses. And Gary and his wife, and he had Rodney Blake, who works for Wilkes Telecommunications.
Yeah, they met him this morning.
And then my husband, Chad, all worked there on the farm, had 12 acres of tobacco. Chad went to school at Wilkes Central, and I went to East Wilkes, so we didn't really meet and communicate or didn't know each other, even though we lived about 1.5 miles apart growing up. But as you said earlier, I went to East Wilkes, he went to Wilkes Central, we went to different churches. It's just kind of a different, little community area, and we didn't really keep up with, we didn't turn on that road, we stayed on the road we were on.
And do you ever remember never being in church, kind of that's just how life was? Tell us about starting in church.
I never remember not being in church, actually. I grew up in church. I played sports in school, played basketball, but when there was a game on Wednesday night, I never got to play. Mom would say, if you can't be in church, you're not going to play ball either. So I would be in church, and the coach understood that, and he said, I respect you for it. And so I would go to church on Wednesday night. So that's just the way I grew up. And I'm thankful for it. At the point in time, it hurt my feelings really bad because I wanted to play, and didn't understand it. But now as a parent and as a mom, I definitely appreciate the raising that my parents have given me.
Well, you have a significant involvement today. Tell us about your church, the name, some of the things you do there.
I go to Mount Pisgah Baptist Church, which is on 115 and just in the edge of Wilkes County, going into Iredell County. I've been going to church there about 15 years now, I guess, and really involved. Thankful for the church family that we have. And we do a outreach program for senior citizens. Me and a couple of the other ladies in the church prepare food for the senior citizens in our community and the surrounding area the second Tuesday of each month. Normally we have around 150 people that show up, 35 to 40 churches represented, and they come in and eat. And I did not realize that there was such a need for that, but a lot of these seniors, that's the only time they actually sit down and eat with someone else. So it's just a great outreach. It's a blessing to us.
How'd
we
that
enjoy
start?
it. There was a couple of ladies in our church, a little older than what we were, that started the program. Them with our pastor at that time was Don Myers, and they kind of come up with starting this program, and they got a little older and weren't as able to do it, so they asked some more of us ladies in the church, would we be willing to? And we said, well, we don't want them to have just brownies and macaroni and cheese to eat, which is what, you know, the generation, that's probably what all I'll have.
Standard.
The standard, yeah. So we serve family-style meals to them, meats and vegetables, you know.
Family style.
Family style. We serve it to them in bowls. They're sitting at tables together.
Brenda Blake.
And we bring it.
Really?
We bring it out and serve them sitting there at the table. They don't have to get up. We do make them get up and go get dessert, unless they're not able to, and then we'll bring it to them. But they love that dessert line. They'll stand in it and tickle to death to get desserts. But it's a great outreach in our community, and we really enjoy it.
Family style.
Family style. I tell you, January I fried 800 pieces of fatback. we may be killing these people, but they're enjoying it. Yeah. So it's great. We enjoy it.
Wow.
So
how do you? This is a question just came. You've talked about so many different things. Time management to get all of it done. Do you have a lot of notes, or how does that work? I mean, you said you fried 800 pieces of fatback. Well, that was the day of, I'm sure. How do you just go from one thing to another, or how does that work?
You learn some days your days have to start a little earlier to get things done. So the day of the meal, when we're fixing that at church,
yeah.
Chad and I usually go to the chicken house around 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just so we will get it done. I have to do the chickens and help with them before I go to church to cook. And we'll usually prepare on Mondays for the meal on Tuesday, so we're not having to cook everything on Tuesday, because we'll prep ahead of time.
Okay.
So that helps a lot.
Okay. How do you decide what you're going to have for the folks who come in? How does that work?
The other lady that helps me, Donna Harris, I don't know if you've met her or not, but we'll just kind of call each other and say, what are we going to have this month? She called me yesterday, actually, and she said, what are we going to have? Because it'll be this coming Monday and Tuesday that we'll be fixing the food. And I said, oh, let's see, what do we want to have? So this coming week, it will be meatloaf, fried chicken, cream corn, which came from our farm, actually,
yeah.
green beans, and cooked apples and homemade biscuits. So that's our menu, and we'll just think, what would we like to eat?
Do you have a worship service along with that?
We do, about a 15-minute little program that we do, and then we usually have special singing.
Singing?
We do. We have special guests come in to sing. They'll sing 15, 30 minutes, according to how many is there, you know. And then we do birthdays of the month, so anybody that has a birthday, we give candy out for that.
My word.
And normally we have door prizes. People in our church, and even the visitors are learning now, they'll bring door prizes, and we'll give away 20 door prizes usually a month as an average. The month of December, everybody gets treat bags and presents from the ladies. So it's...
So the kind of middle-aged folks bring the older folks?
We do,
Is that the way it works?
That's the way it's working. So we're hoping when we get to be those older folks, the next generation will do that for us. Anyway, without it being macaroni and cheese and brownies.
Yeah, wow.
But it's good. We don't do it. We're out June, July, and August. We kind of close down those 3 months. We take a break. We need a break from the cooking, and a lot of people are traveling then. A lot of the seniors have grandchildren at home, and so we just kind of felt like we would take off. We do it through the school year, so September through May.
Before we get into running a farm, Tell us about your boys, and they live nearby, everybody, and just kind of overview, if you will, about family farm.
Okay, well, Chad and I was married, as I said, in 1988. Our first son was born in 1990, Heath. The next one was in 93, and that's Tyler. Then we kind of waited a few years and farmed a lot, and then we had Seth. He was born in 2000, and Luke was in 2003. Heath and Tyler are both married. Tyler has 3 children, 2 boys, and finally we have a little granddaughter. And Heath has 2 boys, and their ages are 7, 6, 5, 4, and 2. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's a lot of help on our farm, and they're right there with us. Heath lives about a mile from us on the farm that we have in Yadkin County with those 8 roller houses. And then Tyler has built a new home. He lives straight across the road from us, so I can look out my window, and I accused them of that. They better put up blinds because I could see into their house. I can't really, but then Seth and Luke are still at home.
And when I was there, you were state champion corn grower, and one of my all-time favorite pictures is I think it's Chad and his dad and the 4 boys standing in the field, and you were the top producer in the state. I want to talk about the topsoil in the field where you grew 290 some acres. I remember it was 36 inches of topsoil that came out of that creek when it would flood. So,
well, we utilize the litter that's in our poultry houses a lot. Without it, we would not be able to probably farm as much as we do. And that land is bottom land, and we rent it from a neighbor up the road. We lease the land from him, and try to put fertilizer on it heavily. That year we also top dressed with nitrogen. So that helped, and the rains, the Lord blessed us, the rains came at the proper time, and it was 327, I looked back to make sure, 327.78 bushels to the acre that we produced that year. It was 2014.
wow.
So that was a great yield. That doesn't happen very often. And if you could get that yield every year, you could make good money farming. But you know, you have to have a lot of faith in weather. And
If I remember, there's a period in corn of about 10 days that you must have rain. Is that true?
well, you need the rain to pollinate it. And if
Okay,
you don't
pollinate it.
to pollinate it. So if you don't have the rains, then you don't have the kernels filled out on the corn. Don't get full kernels on it, on the cob. So you definitely need the rain during that time. So we're always watching the weather to see what it's going to do. Praying. Yeah, praying.
Tell us about beans, soybeans.
We try to plant and alternate corn
You
1 year.
alternate back and forth?
Corn 1 year, soybeans.
All corn?
We'll do corn in part of the land, soybeans in part, and then we'll switch and do corn and soybeans. So
To switch fields?
we'll switch fields.
And they nourish each other?
They
Is that the way
do.
it
Yeah,
works?
the soybeans they don't have to have the fertilizer used from the litter. They'll make their own. So it kind of helps the field a lot to alternate. You're not using the same nutrients out of the land. So
How do you decide the varieties? How does that work?
Heath takes care of the varieties. We've kind of got different aspects of the farm that we
Do
take
we?
care of. So one person's not having to do everything. If one had to do it all, then it would be impossible. So Heath,
So you delegate?
So we delegate.
And people are responsible, the
they
family,
take care of that
you
part
have a
of it.
certain
Now they may
responsibility?
call and say, what do you think about this, or what are we going to do? But they're responsible. Just like on our poultry farm, Heath is kind of the manager of 8 of the houses. Tyler is the manager of 8 of the houses. And then Chad and myself do the other houses. And we know we go in and help do everything when we're getting ready for chickens, but the day-to-day lifestyle and activities at those 8 houses, those boys maintain it with the help of the 2 younger ones and their families.
Any outside help?
No outside help, just us, just family. Occasionally I might call somebody and say, could you come and help do this, or could you come and help do that, just if we're getting in a bind or needing some help. My mom comes in and helps plant flowers. My mother-in-law comes and helps plant flowers. We've got great neighbors that'll come in. We was getting behind with spreading litter, and I called some neighbors and said, we've got trucks, could you come and drive for a day or two? And they show up and we'll be glad to help.
How wonderful.
So it's wonderful. We live in a great community.
And they call on you to help
Oh,
them.
I'll help them.
So
They know we'll help too.
You just know.
Yeah, you
what we need
just
to
know.
do.
You know where you live, and the people around you will be a big help.
Yeah. Community.
It's a great community.
Yeah. Now, Brenda Blake, tell us about a house. We're going to do 3 million birds a year. Tell us about a house, the days in and days out, and things that you have to do every day in the management side of it. Will you do that for us? Size of the birds,
yeah,
and
well,
all that.
The birds come at a day old, so they're baby chicks, and we keep them for about 50 days.
How many's in a house?
Around 27,000 per house.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a little more. Most of the time it's not less than that, but a little more than that. But it just kind of depends on what's going on with Tyson. But most of the time it's over a little 27,000. But anyway, we get them at a day old. So you have to get the houses prepared. You prepare the floors to make sure that everything is the way it needs to be for young birds. Yes, you want to make sure that the biosecurity in the house is great. We use a lot of Clorox to make sure that there's no bacteria, no disease, no germs in the houses. Yeah, we step in Clorox before we go in and out of the houses. And when we go from one house to the other, there's always Clorox that we use. We don't take our boots off the farm. The boots that we wear to the chicken house stay at that chicken houses. So we try to be really careful to prevent disease in the chicken house. But you have to go inside. You have to make sure there's feed and there's water.
That's the daily
activities. We check them. We check them.
Things.
We check them always 2 to 3 times a day. So you're checking constantly. There's alarm systems in there. So if the fan goes out and the static pressure might drop, or the vents are not opening right, it'll call you and alarm you. Or if the feed happens to run out and you need more feed, or it'll call and alarm you. So you may get an alarm at 1 o'clock in the day, and it might be 1 o'clock at night.
Is it delivered?
Tyson delivers the feed.
You really don't know when it's coming. They take care of all that?
Well, they take care of that based on the age of the birds. They send the feed out. Okay. So we sell our corn to them. They grind it up and bring it out to us for feed. So it kind of is just a circle that we're doing.
So they buy your corn?
They buy our corn. Mm-hmm.
All of it?
Yes, pretty much all of it.
I'm glad you told us that. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah, they sure. Now they buy a lot of corn from other places too. It takes a lot of corn to feed the chickens, but yeah, they do.
So how many days will they be there?
50 days, and so they come. We usually sell around 50 days about 6.5 pounds. Okay. It's kind of an average of what they'll be.
Is your compensation based on the weight?
Based on weight. Okay. Take away how much feed they've used. Okay. So.
And your water is out of wells?
Out of wells, and we furnish that, and we furnish the equipment, and we furnish the houses, they furnish the chickens and the feed. Okay. So
do they visit?
They do.
Come out and see you?
They have technicians that come on the farm once or twice a week to make sure the chickens are getting what they want them to get, and to help you with any problems, with ventilation or with feed issues or water issues, or if you see a problem with the chickens. They come out. Now, you have a servant's heart. I think I probably do. You've told me you do. And I'm really honored to have the opportunity to be with you today. I want to thank Wilkes Communications and RiverStreet for this opportunity. It's so much of a benefit in my life to great friends I've made. Tell us about the blessings of a family farm and Mount Pisgah Baptist Church, and you put a lot into living, but you've been blessed unconditionally by 1,000. You just talk about people doing for you. All this time we've been together, you've been talking about people that help you. So end with life and how you've been rewarded, and you believe in putting a lot in it, but you get a lot in return. And in giving we receive, the Lord says. And we do. And we have really been blessed. How fortunate that I have been to be able to be a stay-at-home mom, to raise my kids on a farm, which is a great lifestyle. We might make them work, and make them do things that they probably other kids would think it was horrible that they have to do. But they respect life. They know what it's like to have to work, and they don't mind it. But to be able to be around my family, I have 4 boys, and I see them every day. I have 5 grandchildren. I see them every day. 2 daughter-in-laws I love dearly and see them every day. So who could be more fortunate than that? You know, I'm just so blessed. The Lord has just been wonderful. And so I give him total credit for it, because without him we wouldn't have, you know, we would not have been able to
but
do
you get
and
up here
accomplish what
every
we've
day
done.
with that a heartfelt opportunity to serve, and in turn it comes back to us.
It does. It always comes back.
Yeah. What a blessing.
Either the church family, you know, they've been great to help. Even we had a roof blow off a greenhouse one time, and here comes several from the church and said, "Can we help you get it back on?" And there they were pulling plastic, you know. So it's a great area, great community. We give back to the community, and they give back to us.
And that's the way the Lord is seeking and finding ways to serve God, family, friends, and worthy causes in your church. What an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much.
What a
I enjoyed
blessing.
it.
Thank you very much. Brenda Blake, a true farmer, a person of great faith, and a person that believes in being a steward of the land and to be good to people. And as she's talked about in her community, that all she has to do is let people know there's a need, and they'll be there for her. So as we met at a cooperative extension meeting, expanded it today into this wonderful opportunity to share with you. I'm Gary York, People Doing Good for Others, and please promise to be with us the next time we get together. Bye-bye.